A friend of ours who lives just a few miles away was awakened one morning at 5 a.m. by the police knocking on her door. They were asking for information about her next-door neighbors. She told them she didn't know her neighbors, but often saw young men coming and going at all hours. The police asked her for her outside surveillance camera footage, which she gladly provided. To make a long story short, a few dead bodies were discovered buried on the grounds of her neighbor's property. Apparently, the authorities had received an anonymous tip about the location. Upon further investigation, even more bodies were found, and then more. Eventually, the remains of over 40 individuals were found, all missing persons, local victims of kidnapping, apparently all executed right there. As shocking as this was, it barely made the local news. Kidnapping is a profitable and therefore common crime in Mexico. Almost everyone knows someone who has been affected by it in some way. More often than not, the victims are executed and rarely recovered alive, if at all. Such is life in the big city. But for most of us, life goes on. People go on with their lives and try to take precautions and not live in fear. But the reality of the possibility of abduction is never too far from their minds. My own dear wife and her friend were once kidnapped at gunpoint, but miraculously escaped unharmed. Hundreds go missing from Guadalajara every year, and mass graves are found on a fairly regular basis. One of the large roundabouts in the city has a large monolithic monument in the middle, but this traffic circle was taken over by the families of people who have disappeared. It is now covered with banners of pictures of their missing loved ones. It is known as the Roundabout of the Disappeared. There are new banners and pictures added every day of victims of kidnapping. Men, women, college students, and children who were violently taken, mysteriously vanished, or simply disappeared, never to be heard from again. God knows about this situation in Guadalajara. He allows evil to exist and even prevail in some places on this earth, but he is still on the throne. He has called us to proclaim hope in the face of violence, adversity, and fear. Hope found only in him, in Christ, who paid our ransom with his blood and rescued us from eternal damnation. This message of hope is the gospel, and is the only real consolation we can offer the loved ones of the victims of these tragic acts of violence. Thank you so much for listening to this true story from Memoirs of Mexico. If you enjoyed this story, or if it was a blessing to you, please feel free to like and subscribe to my channel. That would be a blessing to me. I upload a new true story every day. If you like to read, you can also order Memoirs of Mexico in paperback or ebook on Amazon.com. There's a link in the description. Thanks again for listening.